Sorry, guys. I'm a complete fucking idiot. Excuse my language. Um, I've been talking all this time with my headset muted. So can you guys hear me now? And you can laugh at me as much as you like. Sorry about that. You should be able to hear me now. If the music gets too loud, um, AC now. Thanks for the follow, bro. Yeah, no, I was doing a cleanup before the start. I was talking as well, saying like it's important that basically we go through and clean up the charts a little bit from our previous analysis. It's weeks old now. Technically, it's still correct, but we like if you stick to the same analysis, the same throughput, and you don't change anything, you're going to give yourself biases and opinions that might not even be there. So I'm just doing a tidy up and going for it from there. Thanks for the follow, by the way, soon. Right, so what I was saying here is we've currently got we're ranging in like a 20 trillion level range at the minute. 20 billion, sorry, not trillion. From the top here to the low so far on the weekly, we've got like 1.2, 1.3 trillion being wiped out on the weekly. This is the total market cap, so this covers alts and Bitcoin. Okay. So that's quite significant because that's about a third of the total market that's gone. Really, people don't really like it. Doesn't when you zoom out, it doesn't look that much, but it is about a third of the total market cap. Okay. So let me mark up the top. Okay. And here I'm going to put, where's all-time high? Okay, I don't have one, so let's create one for all-time high. Let's make it like, is that orange or gold for you guys? Right, there's 1 pixel and then settings, ATH, that'll do. Okay, and then I'll just save the drawing template as all-time high. Okay, cool, done. Okay, so that's all-time high there. Okay, so we'll look 3.73. So let's see. Let's bring up a calculator. 3.73 divided by 3 equals 1.24. Okay. So now if we've got 1.24 trillion, we lost over a third of the crypto market there. 1.28, look. In that space. That's bad. Okay, and that should have been really a bit of a wake-up call. And if not, it should be now. Okay, because in my opinion, what's going to happen is we're either going to collapse further, probably to about 50% of the total market cap coming out until like all this political crap ends. I don't know. Or we need to turn around soon. Okay. So let me text here. Right, okay, and then move that across there. Do you know that? I'm just gonna delete there. So a third of the market's been wiped out there. It's a lot to take into consideration, really, isn't it? Let's have a look on the daily, because on the weekly, Okay, so for anyone that's new watching, the way I have my layout, I've got the weekly, I've got the daily, and I've got the 4 hour. Okay, so on the weekly, it gives me a bit of a better representation of what's happening in the market. The daily kind of I start looking for positions, and the 4 hour is hopefully for signs of reversals or anything like that that might possibly show up. That's generally how I like to view them. So what's interesting on the weekly is you've got the 7 and the 10-day MA coming down. The 25 days sort of flat at the minute. Okay. Now we are below the baseline. Okay, so on the weekly, when we're above the baseline, okay, it takes off. When we're below the baseline, it comes down. Yeah. This is why I like my indicator, Night Ranger's indicator. That's this one. Look, if I toggle it off, yeah. So when you're above, it takes off. When you're below, it comes down. Now you do get little false positives on either side. You know, like under, over, under, that sort of stuff. You I can't ever get a 100% perfect indicator. That'd be cheating, wouldn't it? I'm sure someone's got one somewhere. You know, some brainy guy. Fair play to him. But if you want that indicator, you can get that off Trading View. Just search for it. It'll be there. I'll move that across. This crypto hub indicator at the minute is off. I'm going to look at trying to put it back on soon. But like, it's going to take a little bit of time, I think, for that. But that's like these EMAs and the waves, etc. Okay. So with that being below, now we have to kind of adopt a bearish stance. Okay. Now I'm not saying we're going full bear market. Just the indicators below, we've got to adopt a bearish stance. We're currently teetering on the 50-day EMA here. Okay. 7 and the 10 are coming down. The 25 looks like it's going to start coming down as well soon. So there's definitely flags there. Okay, that we're going to be bearish for a while. Which, as most of you know, I don't like saying that because I'm always bullish. People call me a perma bull. I'm not, but I mean this year we were supposed to be going up. So it's clear downtrend here. I mean we're below here still below on the daily. You know, like look, this should have been like I've got to apologize to people, okay, because like I've had a few things going on, still ongoing that are distracting me. Okay, it's none of your guys' concerns, but it's affecting how I read the market. So, for example, I should have clocked onto this back here, okay, on the 1st of February, okay, which would have been here nearer the top when we dipped below, and we've been below ever since, okay. So I should have clocked onto that, but I didn't. Okay, because whatever, I just didn't. So sorry, guys. We're still obviously in the downtrend. I'm just having a look because it doesn't look like it's. No, I do have to apologise soon because like a lot of people value my analysis. I value my analysis. And it's kind of when the analysis isn't as good as it should be, you know, that's on me. You know, that's not on you guys. That's on me. So I hold myself to a high value, just like I like to be accountable to people. So yeah, it's appreciated, man. The 710. I mean, it's still bearish on the daily. I don't really see much of a change of anything on the daily, although like we are turning on the daily into a bit more of a sideways structure. And we are so on the medium term, definitely in a downtrend, but on the short term, it looks like we're going onto an uptrend. So I'd mark that. I mean, I'm just trying to think here. Would that be a better representation there, and just see what this candle on the daily does? I don't know. Probably not. But it's dangerous to put this here as a marker. I'm going to put it there. You don't want to see that as a, oh, that's the floor, okay? Because it's unconfirmed, okay? So this candle is still live. And then obviously the next candle could drop down straight below it. So like this is kind of just like a marker right now. So this is the lower low. This is still a lower high. Sorry, a higher low. Probably the right word. Which shows that we're in a bit of an uptrend, but we're not quite there yet. Now on the 4 hour, if we proper zoom in, okay. I don't know why I took the took the grey markers off for the EMAs. I prefer it with the grey lines, just to how we visually see it a little bit more, you know. So we've got the 7, 10, 25, 50, 100. I mean, this is still dropping, as you can see, at 2.6. So we've got a couple. So on the 4 hour, we've got support here. Okay, I'm just going to draw lines. We had a little wick down here, which took out this point, but we're back above it. Okay, so we're not overly worried. Okay. In terms of, I'll tell you what, better way to do it. Let's go on the candle body. Okay, the candle body is where the actual price is, because that's where the bulls and the bears, the buyers and the sellers, that's where they've landed basically. Okay, so we still have. Let me draw this brush. Still have a higher low. Okay, so it's not closed below this point yet. So we need to watch that. Okay, now obviously compared to this point, we've now got a lower high, and actually on the short term, okay, just here, this is resistance. We need to break this, because you see how it's broke. It's tested and held, but then it broke. So here, now this is such a small range, 2 billion on the market cap, but you could potentially short it. I mean, well, it's the overall market cap, you know. So we need to see whether this is gonna hold or not. Currently, still above the low at the minute. I do a lot of and ahhing when I'm reading the chart, by the way. See, it's a shame this red. So that was the. I hate to say it. I don't like news. Okay, but when it's obvious, then I suppose I've got to accept it, haven't I? So that was the tariff talks that did that. Supposedly. I always think there's something else behind the scenes going on. And it's a shame because now we're in this range. So we broke out above it, which is what turned everyone bullish. And just here, this is where everyone longed. It started to go, and then the news come out. And it was like, nope, I'm not giving it to you. Okay. So the crypto market cap at the minute, my thoughts. Very. I'm undecided. And if, in all honesty, I'm undecided. Okay. I don't want to say we should be bullish. I don't want to say we should be bearish. On the longer term, on over a longer period, we're definitely in a downtrend. There's no arguments. Okay. We are turning into a more sideways range now. Okay. Let me see if I can just trying to think where I can probably do. I'm probably there, and I mean the ceiling's quite obvious there, but like we're just in a sideways range, so you know. So this is where analysing the channel comes into it a bit more. I don't like how tight it all is here. You see, I really don't. Alright, my indicator is pretty obvious. Downtrend, accumulation, and bearish. You know, and I can't go against that. It is the RSI is in the 40s on all of them. 40 on the daily, 41 on the 4-hour, 43 on the weekly. You know, your average there, probably 41 to be honest. So it's still not quite within buying range. It needs to drop a bit more, I think. All right, let's look at Bitcoin dominance now. So this is how much of the total market cap is owned by Bitcoin. Okay, in case you didn't know, I'm sure you do, but hey. So the dominance is continuing to rise. Okay, on the weekly, which is a good thing, I guess, if you're in Bitcoin. Uptrend. The only thing is, how far is it gonna go? We don't know. But it's starting to approach support here. Or rather resistance. It's at some resistance. I'm just trying to think what the strongest points would possibly be. I'm going to average it out at the bottom here. Resistance. Okay. So we've got a target of 67.21 before dominance sort of takes a turn, I guess. Again, uptrend, accumulation, and bullish. I can't argue with that. We're in an uptrend, you know. So yeah, I'll keep that one short on weekly. Daily is pretty much the same, just broken out above resistance here. So that's now turned into support. Okay. So basically, you need to come down, retest this just to confirm that it's support now. Yeah, I'll leave that there. With that 64.3. Okay, we'll see. Need that to retest. There's nothing really different to say here. There's no significant candles that I can see saying any different. And the 4 hour is pretty much the same story. You know, we've been in this wedge breaking out. That's the 64.3 on the daily. So on the 4 hour, possibly looking at a bit of a downturn. So the way the 7 folds over like that, and the candles are now below the 7. So if it comes up, it's going to 62.7, drop down to the 25 day. So Bitcoin dominance is actually quite interesting. So obviously, as you know, it's like the amount of. So if we took the total market cap now, which is 2.61 trillion, okay, 2.61, and it's minus 62.72%. Course. So there's not even 1 trillion of the market cap that's in alts at the minute. Okay, it's only 0.97. So that's not a huge amount of money when you think about it. Okay, and 1.63 is what's in Bitcoin, which is quite interesting to know. Just a little fun fact when you break it down. Short term, I can see on the 4 hour that dominance is probably going to come back down a little bit, so we might get some relief. I'm just trying to think, what level have I put that at? 62.28. So yeah, it lines up about right on the 4 hour here. Look, about there for a retest. Lines up pretty well, to be honest, across the board. So on the short term, we might start to see some relief on alts, maybe, but it also depends on USDT. Okay. Now, obviously, I removed the analysis I'd done before on USDT, but it's pretty much there. So have a look, starting to break up now. So the 7 and the 10 is above the 200. The 10's just about to cross the 200, and it's closed above the baseline. Okay, this could potentially be dangerous for USDT. I think we can expect to see 8% again, and I don't like that. I'm going to go on candle close there. Name this as Viva la Resistance. Okay, the reason why I say that is because we've got a W pattern forming. Yeah. So if that hits, that won't be nice for alts. Won't be nice for Bitcoin. I mean, this is on the weekly, so I mean, we're looking August, September. So if we're going to bleed till then, that won't be nice, will it? Really? But then the daily shows that the pattern's already played out. Kind of. We're at resistance. Down in the middle here. So we're at resistance, but the pattern's already played out. Look, the W. Yeah. So maybe on the daily we might see some relief, and that this W doesn't play out. Kind of, there's a lot of maybes, and this is why it's hard for any analyst right now. It's hard to understand. I mean, people working on the shorter time frames, you can see the movements as they're changing, and you can choose a bias and play it as well. But for actual analysis on where the market's going right now, it's difficult, without a lie, because on the daily the W pattern's already played out. On the weekly, it's not. So which one takes precedence, the daily or the weekly? I guess we're going to find out, because on the daily the USDT dominance is actually bullish. Okay, so if it's bullish, that means it is going to push up more. So if it pushes up more, then the weekly is where it takes the precedence. Okay, now let's mark a level here. Okay, for resistance. Okay, that'll be our first point of resistance there, like major level. Okay, so I'm not interested in these lower bits. I mean, yes, they are resistance, but we're right on them now. Yeah, so like that's why I'm not marking this up, because who knows what's going to happen with that right now. I mean, sack it, I'll leave it. But then if we break through this resistance, push up to the second layer and retest, I mean, that's a valid play, I guess. I just don't like this. I just don't like this. Let's see if this holds. If this holds, we might be okay. If not, I do think we're going to go up. And then that means we're going to bleed more. The 4 hour, again. Let me put... I don't know why it's... Okay, thank you. See, on this we'll be gonna retest in the support. Yeah. So this where it could cause a problem in the next 4 to 8 hours. If this support holds, we're going up. And to be honest, there's nothing to show why we wouldn't. Look at that. And dominance dropped all the way to 3.7. It's nearly, I'd say nearly doubled. It's still about 2% off from a full double. Just looking at the candles, I can't really see any significant candles. So this is funny how it's bounced off the 200-day every time. I did warn about this in my last stream, and point out whenever it reaches the 200-day, there's a reaction, and it hit the 200-day and reacted. Unfortunately, I just didn't put enough weight on it at the time to actually tell people to be careful. I got caught out in it as well. That's life, I guess. But yeah, I mean, we need to see what's going to happen here on the spot if it bounces. Here, next level on the daily. It's hard to say because it's all choppy. And it's technically all resistance till 6.5. Let's go there. So yeah, about there. So you're looking at the weekly levels at this point. If this bounces, we need to clear 5.66, which we're going to do. And I'd be careful right now. USDT dominance seems to be the main factor at the minute for the way the market's going. Sucking all the money out of everything. Right, let's look at Bitcoin anyway. So weekly is still holding bearish. Okay, still holding bearish. If anything, Bitcoin should be quite easy to do because we've already built our BIOS. BIOS? I'd love to build my own BIOS. I'm not that brainy. So the bias there is that we're overall in a downtrend right now. Okay, whether I like to admit it or not, we are. I don't like to admit it because, you know, this year we're meant to be exploding. But I mean, let's put it into perspective. Since 2022 at 15,000, yeah, 15,463 up to 110 grand, pretty much. You know, that's a 10x in the last 2 years. So anyone that's bitching about where this bull run is, well, if you've only just got in, well, you fucking missed half of it. Stop bitching. It's not our fault. Sorry, I probably shouldn't say that, should I? But it's true. I mean, but looking at this, right? If I was to draw this uptrend, right, as you saw from the bottom to the top now, okay. When we've had a reaction, we've launched. Reaction launched. Okay. So where's the reaction going to be here? So if I do levels, it's on the weekly, by the way, guys. So this isn't like anytime soon. Okay. I'm just trying to have a look. Would that be body? No, it's kind of difficult because it's not quite the body and it's not quite the wick, but the wick's closer. Okay, so I'll do that here, support. Okay, and then see that cross, and then it exploded. Okay, so let's have a look. If now we apply the same sort of logic, okay, but sort of do it on this wick because that's going to be the closest, apparently. Okay, let's mark that as support. Okay, so 73. What was it? 73,873. That's the main support here. Okay. So if we start going sideways now until, oh, look at that, August. Why is that? Why is that funny? What did I say about 5 minutes ago? Not even that. Yeah, let's draw that there. Right, let's have a look. 28th. So July, August. Yeah, that's the 28th of July to 11th of August. So I'll leave that there. But this time, I'm going to do that, okay? Where's the bullish momentum? The bullish momentum is there on USDT dominance, bro. Okay, but look, I said when I was going through USDT dominance, like July, August, and then as soon as I look on Bitcoin, like just drawing these levels for where it could potentially meet, boom, August. You know, for a rally up, which would actually, if we want to look at history and the timeline of things, it would actually coincide historically for when the runs start to meet, particularly after a halfling. Okay. Um, so let me remove that downtrend for now. I'm gonna leave that because I quite like that. I do. I like that. I don't know why, but I do. Right, but let's have a look at the fib speed resistance. This should actually give us the actual trend line, okay? So if we take it to the top now, okay. So on the weekly, now we've got the actual trend line. Let me hide what I drawn here. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put all them in a group of drawings. Rename. I'm going to rename this projection. Okay, just off a very simple. That's just simple trend line and support resistance. They've done that. Okay, now we're looking at the fib, speed fib fan. Okay, from the low to the high, and you can see it's kind of the same thing along this line here. So what line is that? Oh, 0.75, 0.6. So the 0.5. Okay. Now there's some fluctuation with the 0.5, so where it dips down below, but it held quite well there. Okay. So the 0.5, if we do the same thing, allowing for fluctuation this time, I'm going to drop it on this one. Okay. So that would have said 24th of March going into April. It should have come down and touched. I move it up. We're still not there yet. You see? So for it to come down and touch that, now we're looking at the end of April potential. There's no point moving it further back because that will bring us back down onto a shorter time frame. And this is really where we're at. Like, we haven't retested this. I did say this to people a while back. I just kind of got carried away in the heat of the moment with the bullish momentum. I don't need them up at the minute, but what we will do, I know this is still on the weekly, but we're trying to get a picture at the minute. Nope, no, wrong one. Yeah, see, you'd have been cooking if you opened along there, wouldn't you? Look at that. 5RR on that one. Boom. Terrible. I'd have made a lot more than a 5RR if I got him back there and held it. I mean, that would have been nice, man. Right, anyway, imagine that though, you'd be holding it all the way from March until October. No, I didn't. I didn't actually come back into crypto soon until January 2024, so about 40 odd thousand. But I didn't do futures until when was it? June, July, August. So around here is when I actually started doing futures. And to be honest, I don't like futures. I've done nothing but lose money on futures, whereas on spot, I've never actually lost money trading. I think the difference being, now people say with spot, they say, as long as you don't sell, you can't lose money. Okay, that's not entirely true. You can lose money because it might never recover. Okay, but the safety net is that you've still got the asset that you bought. Okay, so if you've still got the asset you bought, as long as you don't sell, theoretically, you're not going to lose money. But with futures, if you get liquidated, that's it. You're liquidated. Your money's gone. You've got to put more money in. Okay, so and it's a lot easier as well, especially if you've got a smaller pool. It's a lot easier to lose. Like I'll only put $100 in at a time. I don't know when to take profit because I mean I've done it countless times in the Discord. I've turned $1 into $50. I've turned $1 into $800 back in November, and then I lose it all again because I think to myself, if I turn $1 into $800, why can't I always turn $1 into $800? Yeah, but like it's a psychological thing, so I never actually know when to take profit. On a spot trade, if it moves up 2% or 6% on a spot trade, I'm going, yes, I'm taking that, thank you. Okay, because I'm happy on a 2 or 6% trade on spot. On futures, because I do 200 times, that means it's got to go up to 400% or 1200%. Really, where I should be going, yep, I'll take that, thank you very much. But then I look at the financial value, and I think, well, that's only a fiver. You know, okay, that's only a fiver. What, like, I can turn this into $800. What do I want a fiver for? I'm just going to hold it. So I hold it, and all of a sudden it turns into negative 30. Wow. So there's a whole mind game there that I'm battling with the futures at the minute compared to spot. Now, I'm when I say about spot, I'm talking about trading spot. Okay, I'm not talking about buying spot and holding spot. You can trade spot just as well, but for me, I don't know. I don't know. I don't like futures. Anyway, where was I? What was I saying? I kind of got sidetracked there. I went on a rant. Sorry. Yes. So, I've completely lost my train of thought from before of what I was saying. So I'm just gonna have to kind of do this again. Let me put my projection up because I like that. That's kind of what I'm going to be looking for. Okay. That's the play on the weekly. I reckon we're probably going to go sideways till August. Probably see this level. In fact, hold on. I should be able to. Where is that? Yeah, when I go off on a rant like that, guys, just snip it out. Just snip it out of the Twitch stream, and then make a little short on it. That'd be funny, wouldn't it? Okay, so if I go from the top to the bottom. Okay, now if I pull that, I'll go from the top to the bottom. Now, okay, it's slightly different on the sense that it peaked there before it come back down. Could we get away with that? Ideally, we want to put that because that's the lowest point there. So we should go up and then come back down again. Yes, we should go up and then come back down again. Perfect analysis. Yeah, that's it. So I actually entered January 2024 again soon. I mean, I was seeing crypto in 2017, 2018. What's this? Okay, cool. Thanks for the boost, guys. That's people from the stream. If not, don't worry. And I did all right, to be fair. It was a tough time learning because I entered right at the top and then it just dropped like 80%. So it was a steep learning curve. All right, let's have a look. So that's what I think for the weekly. That's pretty cool. All right, on the daily, I've got parallel channel. Where's that? That can be removed. Daily's looking decidedly more bearish, but it's kind of start going sideways. So I will put a channel on the body here. And I'm doing it on the candle bodies. Okay, so this is interesting. Okay, so candle body to candle body. We're now on the midpoint, pretty much. Alright, yeah, no, I misread that. The midpoint's here. I thought this was the midpoint, dickhead. It's why I love doing live analysis, guys, because I kind of mumble to myself as well. And then, like, I'm sure you guys are all chuckling away at some of the silly stuff I say. See, what's interesting is here on the body, we've got a support just above the midpoint. But that's not even valid there. That's because there. Okay, that'll do. How valid is that support? Like, that's whole area of support, really. So you can't use a single line there. Okay, so you'd be going from that. No. See, even I'm confusing myself doing this. So that whole area there right now is resistance because we're below. And it's right in the midpoint. So it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. But as we failed to take, like, the rules with channels are simple. Okay, not everyone puts the midpoint of the channel in, which they should. Okay, the midpoint of the channel should be there. There's no if, buts, oohs, or ahs about it. Okay, so whenever you're setting up your channel on the style, okay, 0, 1, 0.5, always have your midpoint. Okay, because the way it works is if it comes down and it fails to go below the midpoint on the way down, it's coming back up. Okay. Now if it comes down and hits the bottom of the channel, then you found the bottom of the channel, obviously. But if it comes back up, okay, generally that's not a good example because it didn't go above, it just ranged and then it pumped up and so forth. But generally, like, if it comes to the midpoint, it's coming back down. Okay, if it fails to go above. And, like, in one sense, I said that's not a good example, but, like, look at what happened. Okay, let's break it down on the daily. So it come off the bottom and it come up. It failed to take it and then it come back down. Okay, so it's come down from the top, come up, it's come back down. Okay, and then for whatever reason it decided to friggin' reverse and just be a donkey, I guess. So always have your midpoint, always. So right now I'd be looking for Bitcoin to come back down to 78.5, bottom of the channel, because it's failed to take the midpoint. We've got quite a bit of resistance here. So that's on the daily. Okay. Weekly, we're expecting it to range. We're not expecting it to go below 73.8. Now, one thing to say, okay, 73.8 is only the tip of last year's range. Okay, like the very tip, a wick off. Look, okay. So, for clarity's sake, let's draw. This would be your support area. Okay, So you wouldn't be looking any less than 68,994. I don't think. If we do, it'll be a liquidation event. Okay, that would just be an event where it's going to wick down and it's going to take out whatever it can take out before it comes back up. So like down here, you see how it wicked down, and then it wicked down again. Okay, now all right, there's support there for whatever reason, but like it's wicks into wicks there. That's all that is. Okay, so this is an area primarily of wicks. Now we've got a couple of bodies, but this is primarily wicks. So as it sort of encroaches on here, make sure you got room for play. Make sure you're not going to get wiped out. 68.9, 68.1. It might wick out lower, but I don't think it will close lower, and that's the key. Okay. Yeah, so on the daily, we're looking at 78.6 roughly to the bottom of the channel. That would be the play. You'd be looking for a short. Set the short just above the midpoint, probably top of the range there. That's it's not a great play, 2.3. So if you're not in, don't get in. Okay, there's no play to be had. Just wait, be patient, sit on your hands, twiddle your thumbs. It's boring. Right, now, as I said, with USDT dominance, okay, again, this is the reverse correlation here, okay? So where it's bouncing off the 200-day MA and it's reacting. Same with Bitcoin, okay? When it's hitting the 200-day MA, it's reacting, okay? So it's reacting here. So the question is, how far is it going to go right now? Let's have a look. I could put a channel in. Would a channel work? I guess actually, not too bad. But then it's kind of, where do I draw the bottom of the channel? Because that is actually valid, and that's not nice, is it? When we look at it. Do the bodies. So this is something I also forgot as well. Support. Okay. When I do my support and resistance, okay, everyone does it differently. I'd say there's no right or wrong way, but there is a right and wrong way to do it. Okay, and the only way you're really gonna know that is by doing it. Okay, and it's hard to explain as well. But at certain times, you have to differentiate between candle body and wick. Okay, so someone could come along right now and they'd be like, okay, there's support there. There is support there. There is support there. There is support there. And like that's wrong. Okay, but they're doing their supports like that because that's where the price ended. Like that's wrong way of doing it. I think that's the best way how I can explain it. What you're looking for, particularly points of confluence. Okay, so here, okay, it's on the bottom of the channel as it touched the channel there. Okay, and you've possibly got the midpoint of the channel here as well. So if we come down here to 79,968, you'd be looking at a good area of support. Okay, a confluential support, I'd call that. However, what you're more looking at is the more touches. Okay, so the more touches there is, obviously the stronger the support, because that means there's not so much liquidity there. Okay, and then you have to also look for how far back it's gone. So for example, this one has come back here. Now, if you look straight away, this support, now that I've pulled it all the way back here, it's slightly higher here, but it lines up perfectly with the candle bodies here, where the price reacted. Okay, just a little bit higher there, but there's not really anything there, so that's just kind of front running. Okay, so sometimes you have to differentiate between the bodies and the wicks. So okay, it's on a wick here, but it's the main bodies here and the main body here. Okay, so that's a good strong support. If you're doing it all wicks, so for example here, okay, so you've got a wick, and then like obviously you got the confluential support, and you've got potential confluential support here as well. Okay, so we'll mark that up as a support level. Okay. The fact that the price is currently sideways along here at the minute shows that this support's actually stronger than we think it is. Hold on. The other thing to make note of is because of how close these are. I mean, this is Bitcoin. It's 1.5 grand. That's probably not even 1%. Yeah. Just do a box. Okay. There's your box. And then you can just delete these lines like that. Okay, so we've got a box of support now. So you're not as accurate, not as pinpoint accurate as you'd like, but it's still there. You know, you got your levels if you need it. So for now, let's have a look. Now that the hysteria of the tariffs have been mentioned, hopefully we'll come back up to 85. But again, this is no trade territory. Okay, and what I mean by that is if I place the long position here, you'd be looking at setting that probably just under there, and your take profit will be at the top, like it's a 2.26. Okay, that's nothing. Now, because we are in a channel, we can see we're in a channel. Instead, what we'd do is we'd wait. You know, probably put that probably about there. That's a wick off to get liquidation. And to start with, you'd be targeting the bottom of this. So that's a 3.52 RR. Okay. And what you do is you'd hold that, and obviously, like if it breaks through that support, you'd move this down. At this point, you want to go to the bottom corner here because there's time traverses and we're going in a channel. Okay, so that could potentially turn into an 8.25 RR trade there, potentially. Who knows? Because it seems to have quite good support area around here at the minute. Be interesting to see what happens. So for me personally, this whole area now, that's a no trade area. Okay, so that means I've pretty much got to wait. Either breaks out of the channel or it breaks below the support. But if the candles are just within this orange bit, that's a no trade area. So let me make this a thing. Hold on. Yeah, and then that. Yellow. Let's make that there. 1 pixel. What's that for? Coordinates, visibility, style, background. Okay, I can't actually put text in. Okay, screw you. I was hoping I could put text in. I'll do it like this, look. Wrong one. That one. No trade. Okay. Sometimes it like I'm doing this. It sounds silly and it sounds cheesy, okay, but I do this because I can't trust myself. I can't trust myself because I could come in tomorrow and I'll be like, go on, let's open a short. Yeah. So then say I open a short and it pumps, I've lost my money. You know, and then I think, sod it. So I open a long and then it dumps. I've lost my money. So like, yeah, that's why. Let's put that as a group of drawings. Rename no trade. There we go. Cool. And then when it's broken out, I can just easily delete them two things then, just by clicking one button rather than two, just because I'm lazy. But currently, again, bearish on Bitcoin. We could like let this is another thing where these levels come in. Okay, 68, 69,000, possibly even 66 on a wick off. Yeah, like look down here, 70, 69, 67, 66. It's all there. If this support breaks, it turns into resistance. If we break below, okay, so if we go below 79,917, then you know we're looking at, so just say this happens 2 hours 23 for the next candle close. At any point tomorrow, let's have a look. Okay, lowest point on the 4 hour could go to 74.6 tomorrow. By Monday, 74.1. You know, you think that's only $500 at a time, but then look, May, we're going in, we're like that's only a month away. April, May, here. I mean, okay, yeah, no, that could do. Okay, it could actually. Looking at this on the weekly, May, June. Okay, yeah, could dip down to May, come all the way down to 64 on a freak, which with channels you always have, everyone has their own personal allowance on a channel. Okay, for me it depends personally on volatility, but like, so I've done the channel across here. That's not a great deal here, 5%. Okay, but then if we do 5% from, say, where was it, May? Okay, midpoint May. Okay, and I allow 5%, 62.5. 62.5 puts us on the weekly at the bottom range here. Let me mark that on the weekly so you guys can see it. On the candle, that do 62.3 rather than messing about, but it puts us at the bottom range of last year's, mid-range of last year's cycle. Okay, it's possible. You know, if we lose that, we're in a lot of trouble. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens here. See if we lose this support. Okay, that's the important thing, is that support zone there. So let me, what I'll do this. 79.8. Yep, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I will set an alert. Price crossing down, horizontal ray, only once, expiration April. Expiration will be the Sunday the 20th of April. Guess or yeah, Sunday 20th of April. Set. And then message. We're going south, boys. There we go. Great. Cool. And that. And let's turn that orange. Can I turn that orange? There you go. I do. Cool. Cool. Just cracked my elbow there. Okay, so that will that's live up until any time from the 20th of April. Because if we haven't gone blurred by the 20th of April, we're above the channel. So then I expect this support to hold, and we're going back up. Okay. But yeah. Adder, I don't even want to look at. This is bleeding me dry. I really shouldn't trade Adder. I do like Cardano. Cardano's got so much going for it, and yet it's just not really used. Probably because like you need a degree in rocket science probably to create anything on the chain, which is a shame because it definitely is the best blockchain out there. But yeah, and we've lost the 200 day. Like this, is quite interesting. So the correlation on the 200 day on the weekly time frame. So this only just appeared, by the way. 71 cents, 73 cents, 72 cents. Oh, I've been disconnected. Can you guys still hear me?